initiated rumors of wars. Of course, since 1880 till date, there are only 2 wars that have been fought on the basis of water scarcity. Others, of course, people have piled up arms and ammunition and soldiers and personnel. Only 2. And those ones happened before the 19th century that led to full-blown wars. You recall, of course, that only recently at the Nile, when Ethiopia was trying to put a dam across Nile River, Russia wanted to defend Ethiopia. Egypt did not want Ethiopia to put dam there because Egypt depended entirely on that river for survival. You may have heard this story before that no Nile, no Egypt. And so therefore, because of the fact that they want to protect that water to get to the Mediterranean, they ensure that nobody puts dam on it. Russia supported Ethiopia that, look, we won't be giving you aid as it were. Put a dam there and create job for about 3,000 of your population, which they did, and they supported them. But you know, in terms of military, Egypt cannot fight, cannot match Russia. And so they had resorted to diplomacy instead of war. So it's a fierce, issue that can result to conflict if it's not properly handled. And one way to grow our crops and get secured as far as food is concerned is irrigation. I have the definition here. I'm not going to go into details about it, but we have sprinkler. This is a sprinkler head that is working, and so on and so forth. Essentially, application of controlled amount of water to get what you need at regular intervals. If you apply too much, you begin to lose percolation and seepage. And again, that means you are wasting it. Now the population is increasing, the land resources are not increasing, the water resources is not increasing. In fact, there's a pressing, competing demand on freshwater resources. And so it becomes a big issue on us to be able to adequately optimize and administer the exact quantity you require. Look at this place, for instance. The water that has been put there is more than what is required. That is why you can see this one wasting. If you are to be in a country like Egypt, whoever does this will be sent to 2 months imprisonment for wasting this water. So, irrigated agriculture accounts for about 70% of the available water globally and making it the largest user of water. And about 250 million hectares, about 90% of that, supplies about 40% of the food that we consume all over the world. And in 1999, about 57% of the world's rice came from irrigated ecologies, and which is responsible for the 75% of total world production. Another option of meeting or ensuring to supplement the water that we require for food production is the advent of wastewater, which we have not adequately taken advantage of. About 85% of this we discharge into the environment and we don't treat it. Number one, it endangers the aquatic life. Number two, you are wasting it in a colossal manner. And there's none of us here who has not taken this bath. There's somebody here who perhaps, except you are fasting, you may have eaten. You also wash and all that. That is an area water engineers are also looking at, that we can actually take advantage of that to increase food production by virtue of the global population that is on the rise. And when we recycle the treated wastewater, it reduces the pressure on freshwater supplies. There are 3 R's that we consider. You recycle, you reuse, and then you reduce the wastage. That again, globally, for instance, this is well documented and it's actually solving a lot of problems in Israel, in Egypt, but in Africa, we are nowhere near the global steps as far as this is concerned. So, are we going to have available water? This is the second time I'll be asking this question. Going back to the land, I told us that we are losing about 351,000 square kilometers of land from the north, and is advancing at about 0.6 kilometers per year, and we're not doing anything about it. We had the theories of reforestation, of afforestation, but how effective has it been? On the contrary, we remove these trees and we expose the land to agents of degradation, which of course is also the maker to us. Civil engineers, I have a number of civil engineers there, are interested in building skyscrapers. Mechanical engineers or chemical are also looking for ways by which you can get minerals, oil and all that. But that land that can actually be maximized to bring the food that you require, we are not considering it. Whether you finish building your skyscrapers or you finish mining or extracting crude oil, you will still eat. But you are not considering that. And that is exactly what the problem we have here. And In just 1 century, we are looking at the effect of this desertification, apart from removing the topsoil, the trees, the temperature is also on the rise, which is beyond the control of man. About 0.74 degrees Celsius per year is rising. The sea level is rising. That was what was responsible for the flooding and all that we had earlier on. And that is affecting our yield. I said in 2020, we are going to be having a reduction in yield by about 50% if you don't supplement the rain-fed agriculture. And this is a big problem because a fifth of the world's population will face starvation and famine by 2025, and it's a big issue. So Nigeria has the largest desertification rate in the world. We've lost about 56% of our land, and we are still losing, and nobody is talking about it. Now, why do I choose rice? Of course, cassava is there, yam and all that. Why rice? Why rice? I said rice is produced in about 95% countries of the world, out of about 170. And globally, it ranks third after wheat and maize in terms of production. In Nigeria, it's 6th ranked crop, but virtually every family consumes rice in one way or the other. I was in Ghana and I found out that you can eat rice with your hand. They pound rice and make it look like pounded yam. So there is various versions of rice, but the issue is that rice is a universal food that we consume because also it also has about 20% of the calorie intake that we require. But what are the challenges? We could grow in about 4.6 to 4.9 million hectares, but we are growing less than 1 million hectares. I was flying recently and I saw arable uplands that were largely untapped. And I asked, what is our problem in this country? That we have sufficient land to grow food, but we still rely on importation because some people are feeding fat on that importation scheme. And that is why CBN could tell us that we spend about $5 million every day to bring in rice. I faulted that figure, but Sanusi was the governor of CBN when he made this, and I made it clear that that cannot be correct. Because even on Sunday, quite a number of the population that goes to church, it's either they don't eat, or when they go to church on Sunday, they eat only bread and all that, not only rice. You cannot give the statistics that what you eat, consume on Monday and Tuesday is what you consume on Sunday. Well, you know, I'm not in position to change that, but I know that that's not correct. Nigeria is the largest producer of rice in West Africa, but we are the second largest importer of rice in the world. Can you see that? How interesting that could be? So these are some of the works I've done on rice. I work with West African Rice Development Authority. I work with International Land Reclamation Institute. I've practiced alternate wetting and drying. We have modified it. We've estimated crop water use at IIT and all that. So these are some of the findings, both at Hopland and Paddy. And I made a lot of significant contributions in this area, which I'll be talking to you about. This is the one I also grew when I was doing my postdoctoral with Sufyan in 2010, 2011 in Malaysia. So I've grown rice in Nigeria, I've grown in Malaysia, I've also grown in Germany, and I know that rice is rice all over the world. It's the same thing. Now, what were the findings? What were the findings? Okay, maybe this is where it is. We're starting from the soil. I told you the title is From Soil and Water to Rice. So let me start with the soil. These are the publications on soil. These are open access journals that are all cited in Scopus about the impact of tillage operations, the impact of animal waste and environmental implications on soil, and then the hydraulic conductivity too. This is the recent one that we had in the NIA conference just recently, about a month ago. And this is a glance at the world on waste management on Elsevier and all this. What are the summary? Climate change plays a considerable effect on soil. That is beyond our control, except you mitigate it. Number two is that there is a beneficial effect of old landfill on food production, which we have not optimally utilized. And then tillage also play a very major role. Irrigation in areas where there is desertification. I've been to Cairo, my first country that I've ever been to in the world was Cairo, Egypt precisely. I've been to Israel. I know the power and the potency of irrigation in a desertified land. We have not optimally utilize that. And until we do that, to reclaim our land, we will continue to go cap in hand begging for food from people whom we should feed. Now, to water and wastewaters, there are others there. I think I will leave this slide with my head of department. If anybody wants to, you can actually take advantage of it by his permission and that of the Vice Chancellor. For the water and the wastewaters, I've worked with fresh waters. I've also worked with wastewater, treated it using all manner of plants. This is, I analyzed this reservoir in Malaysia, and then the leachate also in Malaysia. These are also Taylor and Francis papers, phytoremediation using different plants, water hyacinth, water lettuce, and all that to treat wastewater and to look at the efficacy of those treated wastewater in growing of crops. And I found out, these are also, found out that except and until we take advantage of our rivers and wastewaters, we'll continue to suffer. And that if only half of the 80% of untreated wastewater are treated, there will be 33% reduction in food insecurity. I also know the potency of treated wastewater as a major panacea to grow to ensure food security. However, alternate wetting and drying does not have significant effect on the development and yield of this thing. Now, to rice and the weather patterns, we also looked at rice under various scenarios. This is a copy of my PhD thesis that was published by Lambert in Germany, and also a number of publications in Ijabe and all that. I think myself and my supervisor, Professor Shogodo, had about 6-7 publications from the PhD thesis on the issue of this rice and the issue of climatic variables impact, essentially temperature, rainfall, wind speed, and extraterrestrial solar radiation. We know that from our findings, system rice intensification is workable in Nigeria, and it's also possible. And then if you apply sprinkler irrigation, it is also possible for us to increase rice production by between 15 to 24%. You know, we can also increase the growing cycle from 2 to 4 based on the new varieties of rice that is actually available right now. And then the value chain creation is also possible. Right from cultivation to post-harvest, you place value on every activity, you know, along the side. It's also very possible. But there is this problem, which is part of the further research that we are doing, which is the last point there. A major challenge is the menace of bird scaring. They have been able to reduce considerably the yield of rice, and it has defied all odds till now. People have used some diabolical means to scare bird. They've done somebody that looked like human being and put clothes on it. It has not solved it. Even in China, they have this bird scaring equipment that enters the water and come out and make noise. The birds got used to the noise. So when the thing comes out, they just stand on that equipment. When the noise stops, they begin to resume their destructive tendency. It's a major challenge that we're looking to how to solve it. So what are the things we want to do next? We're looking at how we can, on a sustainable basis, maximize the use of treated wastewater for rice production. And then we're looking for more plants. Engineer Raphael and I are also working on a number of plants here to look at their effects on treated wastewater, on treated wastewater, and then look at how it can be useful for rice production. Hydroponic agriculture, which I think my vital law has been a major driver, you know, here. We can also look at it on rice, soilless agriculture, so that in case we lose the nutrients by virtue of degradation and depletion, whatever we can administer into the water and grow it and see whether it can actually work on a sustainable basis. We're looking at climate smart agriculture that you are familiar with, so I don't need to waste time. And then the sustainable precision agriculture. I'm working with a group now that are looking at the using of drones and robotics to be able to handle the issue of moisture, the nutrient assessment, and predators, all at the same time on the farm. I think I may have to work with Professor Osweke because of the drones and all that aspect. But what I'm trying to let us know here is that everybody in this room has a role to play in ensuring that some of these things are achievable, not to just only agric engineers. You require a mechanical engineer, you require somebody from electronics, you require somebody to work together to ensure that we drive this vision. Not only mine, but to ensure that what the greatest revolution that we are driving here is workable, is possible, is achievable, and is real. So, summarily, from all those areas, there are two things that I came into conclusion. Number one, go green. We need to go green. Get back to the field and work and ensure that things are from the soil are what we require for us to survive. Go green, if you use this terminology in the military, it's a form of attack. They just put on the goggles and you can see in between the walls. But as it were here, it's just for us to go back to agriculture and see how we can actually drive this thing and make it work. That's the major driver in Israel. And that's why they are self-sufficient and they have food security. It's very, very essential. The next one is globalization. This is not an English word, so please don't Google it. You may not get it from your word, from your Google or from your dictionary. It's not like you say garification or gasification. That means you should think globally and look at how optimally they can take advantage of it. And they go and manufacture and bring it back to us. Why can't we assemble it there? Did you get that? So those are the major summary of what my contributions over the years has always been. Who am I? These are some of the pictures. I think we just unwind and relax a little. Some I took here, some I took outside here and all that. Some of the countries, by His grace, I've been to about 50 countries. I'm still counting and hopeful that, like somebody said, somebody told me that before he's 50, he wants to have attained to get to 50 countries. I said, I'm not yet 50, but I've been to about 50 countries. Maybe when I'm 50, I will be talking about 100 countries. And then, who am I? Somebody had mentioned it, Engineer Nee mentioned it, got my PhD from the greatest university in Nigeria so far. Apology to Landmark and to other countries. University of Ibadan. I leave my visit can be a witness. Praise the Lord. And these are the professional qualifications I'm a member of. And these are some of the awards I've won. Marshall. Interestingly, Engineer Dr. Adekoye is in Israel currently. I was there about this time 5 years ago. No, 2013. 5 years ago, yeah. And I really enjoyed my stay there. And these are some of the grants that I've also won. Some national, some international. The one in bold, we're hoping by before the end of this month, is about £300,000. We should be able to bring it and then contribute to our research in Nigeria. And these are some of the responsibilities, either as a director of Center for Entrepreneurship, as head of department, as member of AMPC, and many others. Some of these things can be found in details on my updated CV. And these are other responsibilities outside the university. This is the one in Powers, Pan-African University, that I was meant to attend. But of course, I did some of the courses online when I couldn't. Algeria, people saw the letter that was given to me and saw the huge money I was going to make, and they denied me visa. I mean, my head of department, the advisors don't know, but I was still able to take some online courses. And then I'm also a facilitator for this peace and security outfit in Ethiopia. Also, you win during the era of President Goodluck Jonathan. I'm also a pastor in Life Oasis International Church. So these are some of the publications. So far, I've published 54. 8 are under consideration. Essentially, so far, as of this morning, I have over 17 journals and publications that have been published. And I still have about 15 or more that is still under consideration. Well, I'm also available online. This is my webpage for Footer, even though it's not been updated yet. And then for ResearchGate, this is the one for Google Scholar. This is one for Scopus. This is the one for LinkedIn. And then, of course, you can see my bachelor and I. He was still teasing me this morning that I like this your picture, your DP. I said it's a pleasure to stand with a great man like him. And then people seeing us together. In fact, some people say that we look alike. I said, it's my brother. Who does not want to be identified with success? You know, success have many fathers, but failure is a bastard. And these are the links to those pages. I want to conclude by giving this partnership by these two men of God, great men. Our Papa here says, people have erroneously thought that prayer is a substitute for planning. He said it's not. There are many praying giants who are gallant failures. So praying without planning is like playing without knowing. Somebody said you should pray as if you are not going to study, and you should study as if you are not going to pray. That's the word, planning. So we must know exactly what we want to do and then optimize it. This other one, Revelation says, until you change the roots, you cannot have to change the fruits. So let's get back to the foundation and repick our things again and then see what we can do and then mark it in the next few years and see how far it goes. So I'd like to acknowledge these people. They've contributed one way or the other to my journey. FUTA, Landmark University of Ibadan, University of Malaysia, all of them, the World Academy of Science, State Fund, Volkswagen Foundation in Germany, Our Common Futures in Germany, Marshall in Israel, Norfolk in Netherlands, Stephen Mercator in Germany, and quite a number of them that have contributed to my journey. I hope I didn't bore you. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Please let's keep clapping for him as he takes it. I'm very sure the presenter of today has done justice to the topic, and he has also sparked questions and comments in actually everyone's hearts here. So this is the session of question and answer. So if you have any question or comment or contribution, please I will suggest you come forward and give the question. Questions, comments, contributions, or arguments.
Let me presenter, engineer, Professor Christopher Akimbile. Professional before academic. So pastor, engineer, professor. That's PAP. Or PEP. Pastor, engineer, professor, PEP. That was a laudable presentation. I'm going to combine my comment. Let me just add the remarks. Let me pioneer the College of Engineering. The person of our own engineer professor, or is it pastor engineer professor? Christian Sueke.